Yes.
Alrighty. And here they come.
Okay. Hi, everybody, and welcome to our continuing work with a treatise on cosmic fire. I make the presumptive statement that this is work in depth. The whole book is extraordinarily in depth. So if we can get just a little bit out of it, we are doing well. I want to thank Michael and Joe for being here and keeping me on track when that's possible, and to welcome then Anne Veronica and Ann Parker and Annette, Ebbett, and Astra Farrow. Welcome, everybody. And Catherine Pyer, Cindy Howard. Cindy, if you're wanting to get some of the things that I send out in a different way, please send me your email address. Diana Bolbachan, welcome, and Francois Boulanger, welcome, and Georgina, hi, and Heike from Germany, welcome, Joan and Karen Gritzka, welcome both, Margot and Martine Dupont, and Nessa Burrows, welcome, Tia, hi, and Vivian, welcome to you, and Zenaidi, welcome. Okay, now I trust that we are, recording properly, and that what you see is from Cosmic Fire. This is somehow the 53rd program, or in a way, program 49. And the last one we had on this was on the 6th of August. Now here we are on the 20th. There is, friends, a lot coming up. As I've told you, here we have the, let's see, if you want to see it, I better do something about that. So tonight, we won't go more than an hour 45, hour 50 minutes at the most, and then comes Tuya's sacred pentagram. All of you are welcome. It starts at 7 o'clock GMT, and the link is right before your eyes. And we sent out also the Sirius Festival link, which Michael has put into the chat box. So that happens tomorrow, and here are some things to read about it. So I assume, Joe, this has gone out to a lot of people. I trust.
It has gone out to the masses, over 1,000 people.
Oh boy, okay. Okay, out to the masses. Very good. I guess we're the masses, aren't we? And so the link is there because it's not included here in what Tuya and Anne Nguyen made, but I just showed it to you, so it's you should have it. And then tomorrow, also the Sacred Pentagram, number 2, and the link is there, and then pre-full moon starting at 8:15 GMT, which is about 11:15 at night, my time. But I'll do my best to talk about that Leo blue moon. And by the way, at the Sirius Festival, Tuya and I and Elena Dramcini will have a chance to discuss this with you. So it'll be a Zoom meeting for the Sirius Festival, and we might have one or two more guests, we'll see. Then comes the Leo exact full moon on the 22nd, beginning at 10:20 in the morning GMT, and the exact time is pretty close to 12:02 GMT. And well, it's a big day because the sun moves into Virgo. Also on the 22nd, yes, and starting at 9 p.m. GMT, which is midnight here, we'll have that ingress of the sun into Virgo, and you should have the link right as you see before your eyes. And Tuya goes on with the sacred pentagram work on the 22nd, 23rd rather, and on the 24th. So, friends, that gives us, I think, plenty to do, plenty to attend to in these days of crisis everywhere. You hardly know how humanity will find its way through all of this conflict, but we do have confidence that the hierarchy is watching and assisting in every way that it lawfully can assist. So, we are in Cosmic Fire talking about, I think, the nature of the etheric body. And we kind of had a discussion of the table of contents of what is coming up last time we got together, and it was all these many points that you see right here. We discussed them fairly thoroughly. Now regarding, we're on page 77 here, and we are moving up always. Physical body discussions, and now more the etheric body, and before you know it, it'll be the whole personality which is under discussion. And then before long, we'll be moving into the solar fire section of the book, by far the longest section, the most interesting section from the point of view of students such as we are. So as we go along, you know, maybe jot down something you might want to say or ask. We'll have a little bit of time for that, even though our time is a little curtailed tonight because of the next Zoom meeting on the sacred pentagram. And by the way, I'll be sending you program number 32 in Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 1, Part 8, video commentary. And that is ready to go, and a little after this program and Tuya's program, I'll send that out to you. Probably BL has already put up one version of it, and I tend to put up a version where the picture's a little bigger and the words are there on the right-hand side. Sometimes it helps people navigate what DK is saying and what I'm trying to say too. Okay, so going on here, let's see if there's something that's telling me to move something away from, well, as long as you can see what I'm doing, I'll just let it be. So now we're talking about the nature of the etheric body. And this is the true physical body, and as time passes, the ancient condensation that we call the dense physical body will slowly etherealize, and only the etheric body will remain. And that is not only for individuals, but also for planets. Of course, that will take quite a time, but we're on our way to the etherealization of the dense physical matter. Meanwhile, of course, we have to understand much more about the etheric body than we do at present. Of course, here and there are people who understand profoundly and can do amazing things. I saw a video where a Chinese practitioner basically was operating etherically upon a patient and he was behind a wall, and the etheric power of the practitioner simply lifted the man's leg, and there it remained on its own because of the etheric force that he had used. Many, many wonders will materialize as we study and understand the possibilities of this true physical body, the etheric, which is really the archetypal body of the dense physical body, built sort of atom by atom upon the mold of the etheric. So DK says here that in our consideration of the internal fires of the system, and by the internal fires we're looking at etheric and physical, we shall find very much very real interest to the coming generation of thinkers for three main reasons, which might be enumerated as follows. And well, we are really going to begin thinking etherically before so very long. What does he tell us? That not only is the I making its adaptations to better cognize the ethers, but there are adjustments in the ethers themselves to make them more visible. So he basically says in the future, maybe it won't be such a distant future, people will be taking the first initiation, and because of the etheric sight, those who look at them will see that it is justified that they take this first initiation. It will be etherically visible to them, the light which justifies the initiation. Okay, the purpose and description. Its purpose and description. And now we have, quite a few things to be said here. So, number one, and maybe I wonder if I can possibly do that in such a way that it stands out. In the study of the etheric body, he says, lies hid for scientists and those of the medical profession, and let me say that it is in the medical profession that so much advancement in the encounter with the etheric body or bioelectric field is occurring. But this is a subject for scientists and medical people who are scientists in their own way as well. So in the study of the etheric body lies hid a fuller comprehension of the laws of matter and the laws of health. I may interpolate here that we will have a much healthier humanity in the coming age than at present we do. There's so much about the vitalization of the etheric body which leads to a healthier condition. And remember, it is an age in which a seventh ray cycle is accompanying the approximately 2,500 year cycle of Aquarius, a kind of equinoctial age. So we've got both going on. We've got the etheric body, concentration upon it, and Gemini will assist Aquarius, and the path of magnetic work will be involved in that, the second of the higher paths. So we have all that going on, plus the accompaniment of the health-giving seventh ray. And we are working our way into that. Not everybody has seventh ray in their makeup, but it's going to be a broadly conditioning ray relatively soon into the future, when the Aquarian age astronomically begins in the year 2117. Okay, going on here with DK, the word health has become too localized in the past. And may I interpolate that when we talk about the group of magnetic healers, we're not only talking about healing the etheric physical, we're talking about healing the astral and healing the mental also, because the etheric body will carry higher or troublesome energies, and it will bring them into manifestation through the dense physical vehicle. So we have to be healers in group number 3, who deal with all aspects of the etheric issues and how they work out, either as vitalizations or as miasmas in the lower dense physical, to which we seem to pay so much attention. So the word health, he says, has become too localized in the past, and its meaning confined to the sanity, which again means health, the sanity of the body corporeal. And may I say that is the dense physical body, the body corporeal, to the cooperative action of the atoms of the physical body of man. I may say that we are obsessed with dense physicality, and we are looking for an attitude which brings, the word I simply use is etherealization, the etherealization of our consciousness and the etherealization of the energies upon which we concentrate. So it's the body corporeal which we're interested in, it seems, and to the full expression of the powers of the physical elemental. Well, that's where we are right now. I guess we have only to look at the television and we see how extraordinarily dense body conscious it is. It does seem to skip over the etheric, and there are, other areas of concentration such as the emotional nature of the individual. So it's the emotionality of the individual and his dense corporeal nature, which are the subject of the attention of most people today. They don't even know that a bioelectric field does exist, but all that will be changing. Okay, DK goes on, in days to come, it will be realized that the health of man is dependent upon the health of all allied evolutions. And I assume that's going to mean the devas and elementals of the other aspects of the personality and even of higher types of beings associated with the soul and the triad. So the health of man, he says, is dependent upon the health of all allied evolutions. And by the way, they should be allied. They should not be, if integration works properly, they should not be contending with each other for some kind of dominance going on, and upon the cooperative action and full expression of the matter of the planet and of the planetary elemental who is in himself a composite manifestation of the physical elementals of all manifested nature. Now, this is that vast, evolving, fairly low-grade being who is the composite elemental of our planet. Its day of emergence is not yet, but it is coming. Now, we have to learn how to control our elemental nature. All of the elementals that are involved in our personality, and we have to learn to invite devas of relatively high rank into our attempt to gain control of our elemental nature. With the etheric body, they're in the realm of the Lower Agni Chaitans. Notice that Agni, the god of fire, and basically the personality entity of the solar logos, is found in all of the names of these devas that we must learn to work with. Agni Chaitans, and then the higher ones, probably on the atmic plane, Agni Suryans for the astral plane, and the higher ones of the Buddhic plane. You get the idea of how that works out. And then the Agnishvatas, the lower ones of the lower mental plane, and then the higher ones of the higher mental plane, all aspects of Agni. So many revelations lie ahead of us as under Master Serapis and all of the preparation which his ashram is doing, we're going to learn how really to cooperate with the Deva kingdom. Right now, it's just, except for some few people, it's just words. Now, the second of this list, what kind of list? Three main reasons concerning the internal fires of the system. Three main things which will be of real interest to the coming generation of esotericists. And look, if this is written roughly 100 years ago, really, completed in 1925, but of course the writing had to be done before that, people like ourselves are among the coming thinkers that he predicted would emerge. And also the reincarnated aspects of the people that he had gathered around him for his groups. So the second point of interest, in the study of the etheric body and prana, now may I say that in some enumeration of the principles, the etheric body is considered a principle, and so is prana. For me, I tend to think of the etheric body more as a structure, and prana as the vitalizing factor which makes that structure vital. So in the study of the etheric body and prana lies the revelation of the effect of those rays of the sun. Note this, for lack of a better expression, which we will call the pranic emanations. Now, there is planetary prana too, but the prana in which we are finally most interested in is the solar prana. Excuse me. He goes on, these solar pranic emanations are we know, let's say, to be in the sun, and especially to expose the area between the shoulder blades to the rays of the sun, this is considered health-giving. It's vitalizing the highest of the pranic triangle of chakras. Okay, so these solar pranic emanations are the produced effect of the central heat of the sun approaching other bodies within the solar system by one of the three main channels of contact, and producing on the bodies then contacted certain effects differing somewhat from those produced by the other emanations. So we've seen how even in the tiny little atom of substance, we have seen that there are three channels. Those are drawn out for us in Babbitt's atom, and they operate for all of these planetary and solar solar centers. Okay, let's see what I've got here. Well, I'll just use that color to discriminate. So three main channels reach the planets, and through the planets they do reach our etheric nature. Okay, and they are vitally important emanations. Let's just say that the age that's coming is the age of Aquarius, Leo. Leo is ruled by the sun, yes, veiling certain planets, but ruled by the sun, and that is a vitalizing indication. We are becoming etherically solarized and spiritually solarized as well. We're leaving the influence, and it is, says Blavatsky, a nefarious influence. We're leaving the influence of the moon behind, and gradually, as I have said and DK has said, it will, as an obstruction in space, it will disappear. So these effects, he says, these pranic effects, might be considered as definitely stimulating and constructive. Well, if they stimulate and purify the etheric body, which is the prototype of the physical body, we can understand their stimulating nature and how they will help to construct the physical body as it should be constructed. And DK goes on and says, and through their essential quality, they can be considered as producing conditions that further the growth of cellular matter and concern its adjustment to environing conditions. So basically, what we're looking at here is the effect of the pranic rays. And here we're getting quite a definite statement as to what they do. Furthering the growth of cellular matter. Hopefully not overdoing it. That's what happens with cancer, that there is excessive stimulation of cells which are not under the guidance of purpose. But he's not suggesting that at all. So they further the growth of cellular matter and concern its adjustment to environing conditions. That is a necessity. These pranic emanations, they concern likewise the internal health, demonstrating as the heat of the atom and its consequent activity. And we know there is that center of fire found sustaining with heat every atom of whatever size, whether it's the tiny atom of matter, the human atom, the planetary atom, the solar logoic atom. Always there is that central heat producing area that sustains. Okay, now what else? They concern likewise the internal health, because without the heat, there will be no health, demonstrating as the heat of the atom and its consequent activity. Heat is producing the activity, and going on, the uniform evolution of the form, proper evolution, the evolution which is structured as it should be, and the uniform evolution of the form of which that particular atom of matter forms a constituent part. All right, so basically what we have to understand is that the solar prana is having a generally positive effect for the reasons given here. Now, I suppose if you're out there stuck in the desert without any water and no relief, it can be destructive. But we're talking about the proper degree of reception and distribution. Going on here, emanative prana does little in connection with form building. That is not its province. Now, let's note that. But it conserves the form through the preservation of the health of its component parts. It's a vitalizer rather than a form builder. All right. Other rays of the sun act differently upon the forms and upon their substance. So let's learn the limitations of solar prana and also its virtues. A whole new, may I say, a whole new connection with the sun will be found in the Aquarian age. As I said, it's the age of Aquarius Leo. It's not just one thing. The opposite has to be included. Now, sorry, it's difficult to cough sometimes. Some of these other rays perform the work of the destroyer of forms, and others carry on the work of cohering and attracting. Well, right there we have example of rays on the first ray and rays on the second ray working at coherence and attraction. The work of the destroyer and of the preserver is carried on under the law of attraction and repulsion. Basically, in the old mythological language, we have the work of Shiva, the destroyer, and Vishnu or Surya, the magnetic preserver. Some rays definitely produce accelerated motion, and others produce retardation. Now, this is interesting, and we can understand that maybe the third ray aspect of those emanations produces acceleration. I wonder if there is a seventh ray emanation, which holds back until the proper structure is achieved, and therefore is involved with retardation. But he clarifies what we're dealing with here. The ones we are dealing with here, pranic solar emanations, work within the four ethers. That matter which, through, though physical, is not yet objectively visible to the human eye. Okay. So I think that tells us something about where prana is directed into the etheric body, and I would guess, since we're dealing with eventually with cosmic pranas on the cosmic physical plane, some higher and analogous understanding can be achieved of what those higher pranas do in relation to the cosmic ethers. Now, so the ethers are not yet visible to the eye of man, though, as I've said here, increasingly they will be, because of the adjustment of the eye, and some people will say the focus of the eye, and from the activation of the ethers themselves, which are undergoing a change. These pranic solar emanations, they are the basis of all physical plane life, considered solely in connection with the life of the physical plane atoms of matter, their inherent heat, and their rotary motion. Without these pranic currents, there is no sustaining of life upon the densest of the physical planes. These emanations are the basis of that fire by friction, which demonstrates as the activity of matter. Now, immediately now, we're going to have to think of the third aspect of divinity, the activity aspect, and the way it will produce internal heat and rotary motion, not spiral cyclic motion, not driving forward as the first ray does, driving forward through space, but rotary motion stimulated by the pranic currents. Okay, now that's the second point of interest for the students and scientists of the coming time. And then he comes up with something that is the third and last, finally. Finally, in the study of the etheric body and prana comes comprehension of the method of logoic manifestation. Now, what does he mean, solar logoic here, perhaps, or does he mean planetary logoic, or is there a difference? So in the study of the etheric body and prana, the two really go together because one is the recipient of the other and the other the activator of the other. In the study of the etheric body and prana comes comprehension of the method of logoic manifestation, and therefore much of interest to the metaphysician and all abstract thinkers. So there are, let me say, some very practical issues having to do with these etheric currents, and there are also philosophical higher thought issues which are revealed through the study of the pranic currents. The etheric body of man holds the secret of his objectivity. I mean, without this etheric vitalization, it would be impossible to sustain the outer form, the objective form. And this we see, don't we, when there is death, the etheric body is withdrawn, and basically the objective aspect of man falls apart. It just decays and it just disintegrates because it doesn't have that archetypal design that, to hold it together, that presence of vitality to hold it together. The individual cells may be active in their own way. There's an old saying that the body is never more alive than when it's dead, but that's a different kind of activation, and it has to do with the individual cells and not with any kind of real coherence which is produced by the etheric body. Coherence is the thing, and integration for a group is the main thing. And different kinds of pranas produce that coherence, which he so strongly advises that we must develop. So just think of it. It's very easy in a way when the etheric body is abstracted from the dense physical body, the so-called snapping of the sutratma, or the silver cord, as it is sometimes called, and I'm not sure how accurate that is, but when there's no longer a connection, disintegration is the result. And if you think about objectivity in our projects on the physical plane, when we remove our vitality directed through the eye from those projects, they too fall apart. So we have to remain stimulatively attentive to keep our objective appearances, our projects, intact and somehow coherent. So the etheric body of man, he says, holds the secret of his objectivity. Now, I might say that a new form of objectivity, which is strictly etheric, will be developing with this etherealization of the densest form of matter. Some people have said, well, it's coming right away. I don't think it is. There are too many planets which have objective dense forms for this disappearance of the cruder form of objectivity to occur very, very fast. But objectivity, it will be the most objective aspect of our nature one day when the etherealization occurs. DK goes on, now I think we're in the abstract area now, it has its correspondence on the archetypal plane. Well, let's just say that the etheric body is a lower field of archetypalization, and we can go up into the cosmic ethers to find out the archetypal correspondence of a much higher nature. It has its correspondence on the archetypal plane. The plane we call that of divine manifestation. So interestingly, he tells us that the etheric body, the higher correspondence of it, is the logoic plane. Now think about that for a minute. Because the logoic plane is managing, directing the three lower cosmic ethers, monadic, atmic, buddhic, and the highest of the ethers, in the ordinary sense, is directing the three lower ethers, subatomic and superetheric and etheric. So it has its correspondence on the archetypal plane, the plane which we call that of divine manifestation, where we're on that Deva hierarchy called the divine lives can be found. All these archetypes are collections of monads and operating at a certain point of revelation. Now let's see here. Okay, going on. The matter of the highest plane is called often the sea of fire, and it is the root of the akasha, the term applied to the substance of the second plane of manifestation, where we have interesting phenomena concerned with sound and light and the rays. Let us trace the analogy a little more in detail, for it is just apprehension. In its just apprehension will be found much of illumination, much that will serve to elucidate problems, both macrocosmic and microcosmic. Okay, well now, friends, we may find ourselves, we have a program coming up at 7 o'clock GMT, and if I'm going to give you a little chance to think about it and to offer your questions or your statements, this seems like maybe a good place for us to stop this program. So there'll be plenty to deal with, I can see that, the next time we all get together. We haven't really covered a lot of ground, but basically we've taken it to page 80, basically. The etheric body has been described as a network permeated with fire, or a web animated with golden light. It is spoken of as in the Bible as the golden bowl. And that's where we will begin next time. And let's see if I can find this. Basically, we've worked from page 78 to 80. And next time, we'll be taking the etheric body of the different types of entities. Now let's see. I want to find the place where I can put this down. It looks like we've covered more than perhaps we have, because I did, in the written form, do quite a bit of enlarging on the subject. So it's right here that we will put our ending, and this will be program I think 54 and 50. And I'm not exactly sure when we meet again, but I'll just, it'll be in the schedule, and I'll put a couple of X's there, probably be in about 2 weeks' time, something like that. This, the book is profound, and right now we're dealing with an aspect of it which has to do with internal fires and the etheric body, basically. And of course, other aspects of the personality will come up, but then before long we'll be into the solar fire aspect of the book, which I'm sure you will appreciate. Okay, So now let's open the door to some questions or comments, if there are any. I don't know who's going to field the questions, but someone of our team, please do that.
Okay.
But
The first and only question
first and only,
right now
do I
is,
love to hear that?
can you expand more on archetypes and monads, or if archetypes are monads?
Okay. An archetype is a divine structure created in higher matter, relative to a field to which it must give shape and structure. Now, what we know of one type of archetype, a lower type, is that the entire etheric plane is archetypal to dense physical matter. So, atom for atom, we are told, there is a correspondence between what is found in the etheric body and then what is later found in the dense physical body. So an archetype is a structuring relationship on a higher plane, which conveys that same relationship to the energies of a lower plane. Now let's go up to, so in a way, any higher plane can be, in a sense, considered archetypal to the planes below it. But what decay gives us is the sea of fire is the ultimate archetypal plane on the cosmic physical plane, and it gives a kind of shape and structure to the monadic, atmic, and logoic planes. In other words, the triplicity that is found on the very highest plane is reflected in the triplicity found on the monadic plane, will, wisdom, and activity, and is further reflected in the what are we calling it? The spiritual triad, which breaks out into kind of a super personality structure: will, wisdom, and mentality, or the divine will, Atma, divine love, Buddhi, and divine mind, the higher mental plane on the first subplane. But all of that is derivative from a relationship that is found on the logoic plane. So the archetype is a structuring relationship which imparts its structure in various ways to lower fields of matter and energy. And basically our task in life is to always fulfill the archetype in the lower planes, the archetype that is found upon the higher planes. Each of us has a name in a higher sense, And that name is an archetype. And if we learn what the name is, it will carry on through to the lower planes, structuring them according to the nature of the name. Now, right now, I think we'd be doing well to look at the soul plane as archetypal, and its egoic lotus structure has to be somehow reflected below. And our task below is to contact the soul so that we can begin to arrange and rearrange the lower energies so they reflect the soul structure. But then the spiritual triad is archetypal to the soul, the monad and its plane. Its structure is archetypal to the spiritual triad and the logoic plane. And its final archetypal structures for the cosmic physical plane is archetypal to the monadic plane and everything below. So basically it means we have to look for the design, the grand design as it is in the heavens, and do our best to imitate below that grand design. Right now, what we have is just a lot of conditions and not archetypes. We have a bunch of semi-chaotic relationships which don't really reflect the structuring relationship which the archetype is. And the more we build the antikarana and the more we penetrate into the soul, the more the life below will be designed as the structuring design above, which we call the archetype. So we have to look above, and below we have to imitate what we see in the archetypal heavens, as it were. Uranus is called the heavenly one, and in a way, Uranus is the principal planet of all archetypalization that's going on the cosmic physical plane. I hope that gives some leads about what an archetype can be, and how we have to try to live our life according to it and what we discover it to be. Okay. After all that, are there any other questions or comments?
Yes, the next is, you mentioned 3 different types of prana, so I think she wants you to explain more these types.
We're going to get to that part about earthly prana and solar prana. And in a way, earthly prana comes first, and it is produced by the planet and absorbed by the pores of the skin. It is not the same type of etheric vitalization that comes from the solar prana, which is the kind of prana we really have to learn to deal with. But coming up in this book is a distinction between planetary prana and solar prana. Now, all of us are trying to be solar beings. And when you can center your meditation and your consciousness within the egoic lotus, you are becoming a solar being, living with access to planetary prana does not at all guarantee that. It may give some magnetism. It may help to sustain some functions, but it's not the higher type of prana. And I'm hoping that the explanation that DK gives will be adequate for us to understand the difference between them.
Next, from Anne Veronica, what are the three main channels of contact?
Well, let's use an analogy. At the base of the spine is a great center of fire and heat for the human being. And the Kundalini rises in three main channels, Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna. So the left channel, the right channel, and the second, the summary channel, which is the main channel. Every atom has the correspondence to the Ida, Pingala, and Sushumna, and reaches out towards other lesser atoms through that triple passageway. In a way, for human beings, this triple passage is the royal road to Shambhala, but everything has to be handled in a delicate balance. Otherwise, we will have all of those disasters which come from burning through the etheric web prematurely and basically creating an imbalance. And I would be pretty sure that that is the case with the sun's relationship to the planetary logoi, a triple channel which must be kept in balance. Excuse me. So that is the passageway. Every entity has a kind of royal road to that which is lower and that which is higher. Our sun is reaching out to a cosmic logos in which it is a heart center. A triple passage will be used. It's reaching out to sacred and non-sacred planets over which it has a supervisory role, and a triple channel will be used. And the analogy comes most easily, I think, when we look at the human condition. Now, I'm trying to remember whether we went over this triple channel, but suffice it to say, the empowerment is coming via that if it is kept in balance. And I do think of all, if we overemphasize either Ida or Pingala, we have missed the point. It is the Sushumna, which is the synthetic power and which reaches to the very top of the head. This is a relationship between Pluto ruling the base of the spine, and there are other planets there as well, and Uranus ruling the center at the top of the head. It's a relationship between will at the base of the spine and purpose. And I do believe something comes to me that in the initiation ceremonies, this kind of triplicity entering the vehicles of the candidate for initiation has to be held by the initiator in a very delicate balance. Which ones of the chakras will be touched depends upon the initiation, of course. But when we start to get into true initiation, and that which will make of man a master, we are dealing with the base of the spine, the Sushumna, and the top of the head. That's a Pluto-Uranus connection. So there's more to be analyzed there, and I really am trying to think: did we touch this? I want to let's see if I can find something of interest here. I don't want to take too much time because there isn't. We have to go on with our program, but let's see. Triple channel. There are 6 references to the triple channel. The central, let me read a couple of things. The central heat radiates its warmth to all parts of the system by means of a triple channel, or through its rays of approach, which in their totality express to us the idea of the heat of the sun. Okay, so that's one, and it looks like we have here some reference to Akasha, electricity, and the light rays of pranic aspect. That we would have to, again, re-examine. Let's see here what I may have. In Cosmic Fire, page 886, all this is again closely related to the threefold energy of the physical body, producing effects within the spinal column, which arouses the Kundalini fire at the base, causing it to mount along the triple spinal channel, again, according to the ray and aspect involved. So he says he can't say more because of the dangers of premature knowledge along this line. They are far greater than the dangers of ignorance. Okay, let's see what else. Well, I think he's pretty much saying the same thing. 894, and a second factor here, page 1129, which works into the general scheme here, is the latent triple Kundalini fire. Mars rules Kundalini latent. Mercury rules Kundalini active. And Pluto rules the will aspect at the base of the spine. So, and of course, Earth is the base of the spine of the solar logos. So here the triple Kundalini fire, which is aroused and mounts with the triple spinal channel just as soon as the three major centers, head, heart, and throat, which are, may I say, monadically connected to the three major monadic rays, okay, form an esoteric triangle and can then, or thus, pass the fiery energy hidden in each center in circulatory fashion. So there's so much about this, and Veronica, I think we have to make a special study of it. And here we are again. Is that where we're back to the beginning of it? Yeah, we're back to the beginning. Okay. You know, I'm just saying this is a subject about which he gives some hints. The idea behind it is that he cannot tell us everything according to which monadic ray is operative and what passage the vitalizing fires will take according to the monadic ray in question, one of the three major monadic rays. He cannot give that, but you can begin to intuit a bit about which part of the various triangles get animated first by the rising Kundalini. And suffice it to say, this triple channel is obviously a means of communication between a greater entity and lesser entities, a greater entity and superior entities. Okay. You know, it's inadequate, but it'll have to do for the moment. Anything else?
Nope, that's all. No questions and no hands.
Okay, friends, well, I know, you know, when I go through this book again, and like some of my friends have said again and yet again, if even the normal book of DK, yet alone this great encyclopedia, can make one feel as if one has never read the material before, we can only imagine what cosmic fire does to our mind. There is a great chain of hierarchy, and by its means, a hand is reaching up, a human hand, and is grasped by the hand above it. And then a hand is reaching down and grasps the hand below it. So that is the human chain of hierarchy. And that gives us an example of what goes on throughout the cosmos. Greater and greater beings grasping the hand below, grasping and uplifted by the hand above. Now, right now, we might say that for our purposes, the soul is the hand above, but so is Master DK, and so is the angel of the presence, and so is our own monad, which is objectifying itself upon the higher levels of the cosmic mental, of the mental plane, the systemic mental plane. We have to get ready to look above and help below. You know, that's the disciples' mantram, I pledge myself with stern resolve, all of that. With earnest aspiration to look above, to help below, to dream not nor to rest, to toil, to serve, to reap, to pray, to mount the cross, to tread the way, to tread upon the work I do, to mount upon my slain self, to kill desire and to strive, forgetting all reward, to forego peace, to forfeit rest, and in the stress of pain, to lose myself and find myself, thus entering into peace. To all this I most solemnly pledge myself, invoking my higher self. And I would recommend, friends, that you memorize that and repeat it to yourself now and then, because it gives the right attitude in the great chain of hierarchy, to look above, to help below, and all the other quite militant demands upon the sincere, the earnest disciple, one who can form a group or be part of a group with whom Master DK can actually work. So I want to thank you for your presence, and thank Michael and Joe for their help. And here is, what is this, Michael, this in the chat box? Is this our serious discussion tomorrow?
Yeah, I posted the link for the next sacred pentagram that's coming up in like an hour or a half hour on YouTube Live, and then underneath that I posted the Sirius Festival with the meeting idea.
Sacred pentagram is coming up, and is it, Tuya, is it a broadcast sacred pentagram? Do you know? Wait, she's listening to music.
Yes,
okay.
It's a YouTube broadcast. The link's in chat too.
Okay, very good. All right. Well, we'll see some of you then, at least, and our gratitude, all of us on the communications team, our gratitude to you for showing up. And by the way, in terms of types of prana, there are probably 5 different types of prana. They go into the different parts of the physical body, and if you read carefully the Light of the Soul, the commentaries on the Yoga Sutras, you'll find a prana involved with just about every level of the dense physical body, from here to here, here to here, here to here, here to here, until you get pranas involved with digestion and other lower factors. So there's a lot to this study of prana. Excuse me. Well, Tui and I will be ready pretty soon. And, well, you know, there's a lot to learn, friends. An overwhelming amount to learn, I sometimes think. And I just don't think we could have any better teacher for all of these organized details. Remember, hierarchy, the society of organized and illumined minds. I don't think we could have any other better teacher for this stage of our development than Master DK. So let us have our gratitude to the great teacher, master, and I noticed as he was saying in today's discipleship work, and friend. I am your teacher, your master, and your friend. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording, and then Michael, who I think is the host, can take care of us as far as turning the program off, and this will be up quite soon by BL and also by Harold and Joe on YouTube. Okay. Bye for now.